And welcome to Cottage Talk Today. I am Russ Coleman. This is the very first episode of this daily show, which will be running throughout the month of January. And what an interesting way to start off the month as I am recording this. I'm recording this live on my X account, on YouTube, and on Facebook. I have some transfer speculation, which I'll be talking about. And I also have some breaking news coming from Fabrizio Romano, which involves the Chelsea manager, Enzo Maresca. And based on his report, Chelsea is parting ways with Enzo Maresca. And that opens up the question could be next as Chelsea manager. I'll be talking about that in this episode, along with, like I mentioned, some interesting stuff that was tweeted out from the account Fulham Fan News on X. It is handle Fulham Transfer. So please do check that out. I've got some really interesting stuff to share. Like I mentioned, this is a brand new show. I did this 2 years ago. I did it for the month of January. Loved doing it, and I thought I would bring it back. But what's interesting here is I'm broadcasting live, but this episode as a podcast will be exclusive on the Cottage Talk Patreon page. So if you like what you listen to, what you see, and want this daily show for the month of January, please do subscribe to the Cottage Talk Patreon page. It is, again, I priced it, I think, very affordable. So please do check it out. I would love to have you join us. And I am doing this for the month of January. So if for some reason this works out well, it could be longer, but I actually have a challenge. The challenge is this. So like I said, if I get 50 new paid members to the Cottage Talk Patreon page, I will continue doing Cottage Talk Today throughout the entire season to the end of Fulham season, which is a lot of shows, a lot of days. It will take me into May. But to be able to do that, I will need additional members. So if I get 50 additional members from, say, today until the end of the month, then I will continue doing Cottage Talk Today. Regardless, I'm going to be doing it throughout the month of January. And if you want to see it and hear it regularly, please do go to the Cottage Talk Patreon page. I'm broadcasting live. I'm going to leave this broadcast up, but beyond that, it won't be up. So talking about the next day and for the rest of the month, this is the only day I'm going to leave the broadcast up. So please do check it out. Would love to have you join the Cottage Talk Patreon page. And I just want to thank everyone that listens and watches Cottage Talk. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everything that you've done for this show by just continuing to be there. And Wayne, thank you so much for checking in. Okay. So now let's get to the topics today. Like I said, this will be about a 15 to 20-minute show, generally speaking. And this first episode is a little bit of a whopper. So let's get going. Let's talk about the situation with Enzo Maresca. I saw the report this morning. Actually, I was contacted about it. That it looks like Maresca is leaving Chelsea, and that leaves this void. The question is, who will be filling the void at Chelsea if the information is correct? And I find this bizarre that Chelsea would be parting ways with him. But let's just say all this is true and it does come to fruition. Who will be next? So I'm going to share this report that I saw, or you could call it a tweet from a Twitter handle by the name of Chelsea Transfer. And again, I was contacted by another Fulham supporter who let me know about this because I was not aware about it this morning, because I thought that maybe Rossignol, who I'm going to be talking about next, would be the one that I would be focusing on. We'll be focusing on him, but there'll be another name that I will be focusing on as well. So I'm going to share this on my screen if you're watching live, and I'll read it out, and then we'll talk about Liam Rossignol first. So again, according to the handle Chelsea Transfer, former Derby County boss Liam Rossignol is favored to replace Enzo Maresca. Other potential Contenders for the Chelsea job include former Barcelona head coach Xavi, Crystal Palace manager Oliver Glasner, Fulham's Marco Silva, and Bournemouth boss Andoni Iraola, and in quotations, PA, which I'm going to think that is referring to the Press Association. I think it does. So let's just start there. Let's talk about Liam Rossignol. Now, what's interesting about him, Rossignol, there's been talk about him, again, just talk. Fulham supporters bringing his name up as a potential candidate if something happens with Marco Silva. And Liam Rossignol has been doing really good work where he is right now in France. So I understand why his name was being brought up with Fulham. I was surprised when I saw that he could be a leading contender for the Chelsea job. But if you look at it, there is the connection with the ownership of where he is now and with Chelsea. It's the same ownership as Blue Co. So it kind of makes sense. So in one way, you're thinking, okay, it's okay because then Marco Silva wouldn't be involved. But Liam Rossignol is a name that, again, if something was to happen with Marco Silva, this is a name I keep hearing often. A young and up-and-coming manager, former player, could be a good fit. So this is something for us all to follow to see what happens next with Chelsea. And I don't know how that will affect them when they play Fulham upcoming too. Could they have a manager bounce? Could it affect them? And they also mentioned in that report, it has Marco Silva's name attached to it. And that is always concerning. And that will continue to happen unless Marco Silva signs a new contract with Fulham Football Club. So this will continue to go on. Now, I actually listened to Fulhamish talk about that. They're feeling pretty confident. Members of Fulhamish, on their show, feeling confident that Marco is going to sign a new deal. I also saw Jack Kelly feel the same way. I've heard things on that wavelength too. But right now, nothing has been done. So unless Marco signs a new deal, he's going to be linked to all these jobs. And this is one, regardless of how I feel about the club, fits, I think, what he is looking for. A top 6 club. Chelsea fits the bill right down the street. So if Fulham, see this, and want to keep Marco Silva, there are a couple of things that they can do. They can give Marco what he wants in the transfer window. There's been a lot of speculation. I'm continuing seeing speculation. That's actually a good thing. I expect Fulham to be extremely aggressive in the market. And, regardless of how I feel, because I will say this. I've said this. I'm not backing off from this. That I've said on this show that I would be fine. In fact, it's what I would prefer that Fulham saw this season out with Marco and then parted ways at the end of the season. But if you want stability and if the club feels that Marco can take them to the next level, then by all means, and I'm all about, again, we were talking about this on the last show with Tony Gold, trying to basically talk about Marco and my concerns with Marco. And it really has to do with being stubborn and not really changing the formation and making in-match changes. And Tony brought up a good point. What if it's just that he doesn't have the options to change? And right now, it's a good point. I don't think he does have the options to change. So I will, again, if he signs, I would be all behind him, regardless of my personal feelings of how I want, because I just want Fulham to get to the next level. If it really just came down to having options, then I could be down with it because I'm willing to be proven wrong with Marco Silva. I'm totally willing to be proven wrong because that means Fulham have done well. So if Marco Silva does sign a contract, I'm not going to be upset about it at all because I think that will give Fulham stability. I'm just telling you what I prefer. That's just the way I am, and I'm not going to hold back on that. But if you're seeing this news today and you're a Fulham supporter, you're used to it. You're seeing it, and you're seeing the other managers being linked to. But I think it's in Fulham's best interest to get business done early in January, because maybe that's the reason why we're not seeing any movement with Marco's contract. Basically, show me, by signing players, and then maybe Marco stays. But until he signs on the bottom line, until Fulham announce something, or if they announce something, we're going to see this speculation. And it would make sense for Chelsea to be interested. I don't know how interested they are. But I think that if they're looking for a new manager, I have a feeling he will be considered. But there are other managers I think that they'll be looking at as well. So over time, we shall see how this all plays out. And again, I just want to thank everyone for just watching the debut episode of Cottage Talk Today. This is part one. Let's now go to part two. And it is the transfer window update. So we have a few updates just today. We had a bunch yesterday. Now we have a few more today. And again, I'm just going to share some information. And again, I got this from Fulham Fan News handle on X is Fulham Transfer. So let's start with, and I might be saying this wrong, Janaury Hernandez from Deportivo. So I'm going to share this article again that I got from Fulham Transfer, and just read a little bit about it and make everyone aware of the latest speculation. I'm sure many of you have already seen it, but always like to talk about it. So I'm sharing this now. I'll read a little bit from this article that I have. So let's see what we got here. Okay, let's see. Janaury and a figure that reaches 40 million euros. Two Premier League clubs are reportedly prepared to offer up to 40 million euros to secure the signing of Janaury. This sum reflects the level of interest generated and presents Deportivo. And of course, I'm pulling a Goldman here as I'm just going through it regards Deportivo. It's Bournemouth and Fulham, the two clubs leading the charge. For Janaury, the possibility of joining AFC Bournemouth or Fulham represent a radical change of scenery. The Premier League offers a global platform and competitive edge that could accelerate his development as a footballer. By the way, Janaury is only 23 years old and is a winger. And you could go check out the highlights. It's pretty impressive, but we've seen highlights before, and I'll use Kevin as an example. But it's looks pretty good. The player's entourage is carefully analyzing every step. There's an awareness that an early departure could hinder his development, but it's also understood that a 40 million euro offer puts the debate on a level that's hard to ignore. Okay, and that's enough on that. So that starts more speculation that we have in regards to Fulham. This is with another team, which would be Bournemouth. So you have two players. But again, we're going to see a lot of this because Fulham are going to have a lot out there in regards to, say they're looking at winger. They're going to be looking at about 7 or 8 different wingers. So here's another winger Fulham are potentially looking at. And another one, again, this actually comes from Football Insider, and I'll share this one. This one is with Ilan Cabal. And again, if I'm saying the name incorrectly, I apologize. Again, saw this from Fulham Transfer just a few minutes ago before I went live. So thank you, my friend, for sharing that on your X account that I could talk a little bit about this one. So again, here's another attacking player. Looks like he is also more of a winger. Again, this is from Pete O'Rourke, exclusive Fulham, Crystal Palace, and Sunderland race to sign Ilan Cabal. The right winger, 27, has caught the eye in League One this season with 6 goals and 4 assists and 16 appearances for the capital-based club. Fulham, Palace, and Sunderland are all keen to strengthen their attacking options in January and are plotting deals for the wide forward. Okay. So again, same pattern we're talking about wingers, and that makes sense. You're going to see talk about strikers. We've already seen the Ricardo Pepi speculation. So there's a lot going on with Fulham Football Club. And this is just my gut feeling. I think Fulham are going to be very aggressive in this window, partially because how we started the show. I know I have a very strong feeling. I'm going to say, I shouldn't say I know, but I have a very strong feeling Fulham want to do whatever they can to hold on to Marco Silva. Best way that they can do that, bring in the players he needs to compete and get into Europe. Okay, because Fulham will put themselves into that situation. And if they want to stay in that situation, they need reinforcements. So for me, that's where the speculation is truly about, not just making Fulham better, which we all want. We all want them to get into Europe. But I think the club, the Cons, want to hold on to Marco. So the best way to do that, get quality players in. So let's hope that's what happens. But we're going to see a lot of speculation. You'll see a ton of names. I'm going to share this on Cottage Talk today. Whenever I see them, whenever I'm able to do a show. Like I said, I plan on doing one each and every day for the month of January. And this is the very first one. But I'll also be doing other shows. I truly believe the Fulham supporters deserve a daily show. And I've been told there isn't enough to talk about with Fulham on a daily basis. I say, yes, there is. And I'm going to prove it in the month of January and maybe beyond that. Like I said, if I get 50 additional members to the Cottage Talk Patreon page, I will extend Cottage Talk Today until the end of this season, which is a lot of shows. I'm prepared to do that, but I would need, I'm saying 50 additional members. That's a lot. But if you like Cottage Talk, if you want to support the show and want to listen to Cottage Talk Today, especially in January, the only place you're going to be able to listen to it is on the Cottage Talk Patreon page. Exclusive there. I'm broadcasting live right now, but I won't be broadcasting Cottage Talk Today beyond today. I just wanted to introduce it. And also just to say thank you to everyone that has watched and listened to Cottage Talk, and thank you for all your support over the years. I really appreciate it. And if you want more, check out the Cottage Talk Patreon page. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this debut episode of Cottage Talk Today. I'm Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk.